Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League. It's our season finale for Season 4, Episode 28. We have been coming to you for 7 straight months, bringing you weekly San Diego Sockers content. Today, we put a pin in it. We're calling this one Cleaning Up the Confetti. It's the second straight year that we've used that as our season closing title. And you know what? I hope we will be doing it again next year as well. Craig Elston here with you, joined by Jerry Jimenez. Slide on in here, Jerry.
Hey, what's happening? I'm still in celebration mode. My bad.
we got new software here. People were like, "Where's Jerry? What's the matter?"
I'm right here.
There's Jerry. We're like giving you a sneak preview. We've got some like season 5 vibes going on in terms of new technology, new software, kind of a sneak preview for you as we put a wrap on this season's Soccer's Overtime presentation. On tonight's show, we're going to look back at the season that was with thoughts on the key turning points on the road to the Ron Newman Cup for the San Diego Sockers. We will give out our first ever Oscar Awards. The Soccer's OT Oscar Awards. Oscar Awards for the bests of the season. Our special guest is one we've been tracking down for months, Jerry.
Yes.
Paul Savage, athletic trainer and MVP. He's going to dish the dirt about life on the road with the Sockers and the MASL. A lot of changes this year, a lot of progress. We're going to talk about it and offer our wishes and dreams for next season and for what is to come. That is what's happening on tonight's episode 28, season 4 of Soccer's Overtime. As always, we say a special hello to everybody who is joining us in the chat. Welcome to all of you. We're so excited to have you along. We'll be seeing your comments, answering your questions live as the show goes on. Also, hello to everybody who's watching us on replay on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to be notified of future content. Last but never least, all of our great podcast listeners, everybody listening to the audio version of the show, thank you. We do this show for you, to be sure. All right. Lot to get to on today's show, Jerry. We are excited. I wanted to mention right off the top, we did mention it last week as well, Soccer's back-to-back championship gear is available. So Sockers have won back-to-back titles, their 16th title overall. If you want to dress this summer like a champion, if you want to have that back-to-back look, go ahead and go to the San Diego Sockers website, sdsockers.com, click on the shop button, and get to shopping. We've got a t-shirt, we've got a long sleeve shirt, and we've got a hoodie, all with the back-to-back Sockers championship logo that you see right between Jerry and I there. So give it a look. You can save, I think, about $11 if you bundle and buy all three at once. Go to sdsockers.com and pick up your back-to-back championship gear.
There's a custom shirt,
Jerry.
too. There's a special shirt that's super limited. I think that's still available, right, as well. So make sure you go and check that out.
Yes, absolutely. Is that the t-shirt you designed, like, Saturday? Or
No. Ooh, no, that's a secret. We haven't talked about that one yet. No, there's a special limited edition one that has a print on the back that says back-to-back. That's not part of the bundle. That's different from the one that's on the bundle. So go and get yourself that shirt if you don't want to get all of it. But you should get all of it. Just saying. It's a deal.
Just buy it all.
Just get it all.
That's it. Buy it all. It's great birthday presents for all of your summer birthday friends. Otherwise, just come up with a different excuse to give away stuff, and you'll get there. Okay, so we've got 2 segments before we get to our very anticipated Paul Savage, our MVP guest, coming up shortly. And I thought we'd start, Jerry, with a season in review, the key moments along the road for the San Diego Sockers. I put down a little list. You've got the menu there. Let's start with the preseason because, coming off of a season in which the Sockers played without fans, played all on the road, went 4-6, had a good playoff run to win the Ron Newman Cup. There was a lot of question in terms of what is this Soccer's roster going to look like going into the season. Obviously, there was a lot of folks in Ontario. There were a lot of folks in Chihuahua that thought that it was their year and not the Soccer's year. And there was a minute there where probably you looked at the roster of the Sockers and you went, I wonder, is this a contender? So my first big turning point or key moment, and you remember this, Jerry, because I was texting you from it. We had our first arena practice.
Yeah.
I think it was our only arena practice of the preseason. And it was about a week before the Sockers went up to Tacoma. And I turned up at the arena, and all of a sudden there was Juan Manuel Rojo, Juan Gonzalez, and Jamie Lovegrove, all at Soccer's training. And before, we were looking at a roster where maybe Eddie Velez would have to start all the time, or Raimundo Reza would have to start all the time. Some of the older players on the Soccer's roster, and all of a sudden, we're like, whoa, no, hang on. Fresh blood, and some exciting players. And it was right then. I remember it was that night. I was like, hang on. We got ourselves a team here. And in particular, you saw the speed of Rojo. You saw the excitement of Lovegrove. You saw, Gonzalez, the twins reuniting for that Wonder Twin power. You said, okay. Kudos to the Soccer's front office. Kudos to Cheeky Luna, Sean Bowers, Phil Salvaggio for taking a look at what's here and saying we need to add a little bit and adding the exact right pieces.
Absolutely. I remember that text because you were so excited. You're like, oh, my gosh, we actually may have a squad. And then you started naming off the players that were there. And I'm thinking, what? Because up to that point, Craig, we weren't sure what this team was going to look like. Up to that point, we're still wondering, like, hey, there's some missing pieces here, clear missing pieces. And then you add Rojo, you add, Juan Gonzalez, you add Jamie Lovegrove, who was with us for at least a couple games. But, he added so much to the beginning of the season, too. And that was a point where I'm like, okay, game on. Let's go.
Then you start the season. San Diego goes to Tacoma. They win 10-7. They come home. They beat Chihuahua 4-1. Those were the two games played in the 2021 portion of the schedule. And I had as the next turning point, the first sign that this Soccer's club maybe had a different gear than other teams. And that was the first meeting against the Ontario Fury, all the way back to January 2nd at Pechanga Arena, San Diego, because that was a game, first meeting of the year between the Sockers and Fury. Sockers were 2-0, Fury were 2-1, but Ontario had just gone to Florida and beaten the Tropics. So, you already, they were hashtag championship bound. There was a lot of anticipation for this series, and the Sockers really, for 35 minutes, played a very not great half in which, coming up right here, they fall behind by a 3-0 score. And, 5 minutes into the third quarter, as this one drifts out to Pete, if I remember right. There it is. Bang.
Yep.
3-0. Ontario leading, Chris Toth shutting them out. And at this moment, this is honest to God, this is one of the highest moments of the Fury season. Is right here, right this exact second, when they're up 3-0 and feeling like, oh, we're gonna come in to San Diego's barn. This is when it was really COVID restricted. We had a very small crowd, a crowd of like 800 people. Oh, we're gonna come in and we are gonna rule the roost and win this game 3-0. And the final score of this game was 6-3. The Sockers win, scoring the next 6 goals unanswered, including 3 in the third quarter. And I really, again, felt like this was a great example, Jerry, of the Sockers showing that championship moxie that they displayed all year. And we've got several turning points like this on the menu, but games where it really did look like, okay, San Diego's down today, the opponent's up. This is going to be a game where the Sockers are going to really struggle. And they always seem to find that answer at the exact right time.
Yeah. No, it hasn't been an easy season. I mean, you look at the record and you think, wow, Soccer's dominated, but that wasn't always the case, right? We did have to fight in quite a few games. we fought hard, and this is a perfect example. And I think I very much agree with you. This is absolutely one of the key points in the season is being able to come back from a 3-0 deficit against the Fury, who was very strong at that point in time and was definitely, as they said, championship bound at that point. And it felt that way. And you saw them, I mean, we're in the third, still 3-0 at home, and so coming back and winning it 6-3, I mean, that right there goes to show the fight that was in this team from the very beginning. And it started with those key, moments of bringing players like Rojo, Juan Gonzalez, bringing Charlie in, bringing Lovegrove in, and just here it is. It starts right there with that goal from our boy Leo de Oliveira, who just we'll talk a lot about later on, I'm sure. But it just what a moment!
Unbelievable, that goal.
Yeah, let's watch it again.
Uzi Tayu just ruined. Just absolutely ruined. Could have retired right then. Could have just taken off the jersey, tossed it in the stands, walked away. It would have been a better finish to the season than the one he actually had. And I think a good point by K. Vibert in the chat as well. This was the one game, you might remember, Jerry, Boris had COVID, and the Sockers signed eventual St. Louis goalkeeper Eduardo Pollo Cortez to play his one game of the season, and he was pretty darn good. If I remember right, he made something like 15 saves in this game over the course of the game, was especially good down the stretch. But it's wild just to think that, all the way back to this point early in the season, 3-4 games into the season, there was a lot of question in terms of who was going to be the best team in the West. And I think this was just, statement number one. The Sockers would have a number of statements, and Ontario would come back the next time they played a week later, of course, and they would win and come from behind and come from 5-1 down to beat the Sockers at Pechanga Arena. But this game, again, I come back to it as just kind of like that first notice of something that became a regular theme, right, Jerry, which was if you put this team down, then you put their back against the wall, you will see what the answer is that the Sockers have, because they had an answer honestly every game of the year. There wasn't one game that they didn't have an answer.
I think at the point when Pollo came in, we had a moment there after that game where a lot of the fans, a lot of us also were thinking kind of like, a child when he gets he sees a dog for the first time. We're like, can we keep him, please? Can we want him to stay? Can he stay? But then we think about it, like, no, but we have Pardo. As soon as he comes back, we're good. And Pollo went on to do some pretty big things over in, where'd he go to
St. Louis.
St. Louis Ambush, yeah. And he did fantastic over there, so good for him. But at that point, still, like, there was so much movement, right? And it's good to remember all of these things, all of these changes that happened throughout the season. In the beginning, it was kind of crazy, and somehow we made it through. Like you said, we lose to the Fury, the only team, I guess, that them and Chihuahua that ended up beating us. And again, friendly reminder to those that are hating and our haters and our trolls and say the Sockers did lose, they didn't have a perfect season. Yeah, but not during regulation time. Shout out to Alex over at MSL Primetime, who made sure to say that multiple times in the last episode, by the way. But yeah, it's just very, very interesting times there, and we managed to get through it, and we managed to get through it really almost unscathed, I would say.
Next big turning point for me, and this was the trip that solidified that the Sockers were for real. It was part of 5 games in 10 days, and it was 4 road games in 8 days. Fresh off of losing their only regular season loss of the year, the overtime loss at Ontario, the Sockers had to go to Ontario to play them for the first time at Toyota Arena. And San Diego went up there on the 16th of January, and they ran the show, Jerry. It was a 7-2 final score, a game in which the Sockers were ahead 5-0 late in the second quarter, Tavoy Morgan getting a first-half hat trick. Christian Gutierrez, Juan Manuel Rojo score a couple goals in the fourth quarter. Frank Tayu gets an own goal that bounces off Rojo, and that's basically it for the Ontario offense the entire game. It was a great response, and a real definitive response to having dropped 2 points to Ontario the previous match. But then the two games that we hung out at Calafino Lounge and broadcast right here on the Soccer's Twitch channel, 6-5 in overtime, 11-10 in overtime. Two absolutely thrilling games which saw the Sockers use the sixth attacker in game one, and Tavoy Morgan scores. The other one, which saw Roberto Escalante score with no time on the clock to take it to overtime, and then it's Tavoy in overtime with the golden goal. Those two games back-to-back, the Sockers the only team to go to Chihuahua, play two games, and get 2 wins.
Yeah, and a great point here by Kay Vibbert as well. He says those were turning points for both Chihuahua and the Sockers, and I absolutely agree. For me, that was a very special moment, and I think that's also something we're going to talk about, but this is one of my highlights because for me it was honestly like baptism by fire doing that with you, and those games were nuts. Those games were ridiculous. 6-5 overtime, 11-10 overtime. The most Boris ever got scored on. It was just, what a crazy, and it was back-to-back games. Like,
yeah, Friday night, Saturday night.
It feels like so long ago because I choose to forget. My heart couldn't take it, Craig.
Right. And then here's the thing. The Sockers then had a Sunday that they had to stay in Chihuahua. Monday, they flew from Chihuahua through Tijuana back to San Diego. And the very next day, Tuesday, the 26th of January, the Sockers had to go back to Toyota Arena to take on the Fury. And in the interim, Ontario had won a game, and then they had that weekend off. So they had the whole weekend to watch the Sockers play, to train, to rest, to get, suited and booted. And it was the Sockers 6-0-1 against the Fury 5-3, but San Diego 17 points, the Fury 14 points. So if the Fury had won that game, they would have tied San Diego for first place in the West. And 20 seconds into the second quarter, Jerry, it was 4-0 Ontario. Jorge De Leon, Jorge Pacheco, Juan Tepete, and Uzi Tayu, off of his brother Frank's chest, as I remember, gave the Fury a 4-0 lead. Boris, coming off of that back-to-back, was struggling, although there were a couple of deflections in those games. And you felt like, okay, this is obviously a loss, right? Like, you're down 4-0. You just played in Mexico. Fury is loaded for bear. This is the game that they had basically as a scheduled win, and they're going to get it. And instead, the Sockers just kept for Ontario.
Exactly.
Because the Sockers just kept chipping away, right? And Charlie Gonzalez scored a goal with just 34 seconds left in the half to make it 5-2 instead of 5-1, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal when you were down 4-0. And then in the third quarter, it's Rojo, it's Pino, it's 5-4. But then it looks like Ontario's going to win again. Nestor scores, makes it 6-4. Sockers get one back to start the fourth quarter when a shot went off of Chris Toth. And then Cesar Cerda got the rebound and scored it, and it was taken away, waved off by the officials. Toth was down but not out. He was replaced, though, a couple minutes later by Clayson De Lima. Jorge De Leon scored right after that, and instead of it being a 6-5 game, it was a 7-4 Fury lead with just 8:34 to play in the game. And once again, you said, okay, this is the Fury's game. I remember at that moment going, well, you have a goal taken away, and then the other team scores. It's 7-4. Fine. Good effort. Let's keep going. Yeah, we just don't have enough time. But we did. Rojo from Childs, 7-5 at 7-11. 6-attacker goal. Escoto from Childs at 11:45 to make it 7-6. Sixth attacker goal. Tavoy Morgan, unassisted at 13:41 to make it 7-7. Every time this year, Jerry, and I think it was 4 times total that the Sockers went to the sixth attacker, even down 2 goals, they always found the equalizer every single time.
Yeah. I mean, it's the magic of this team. It's the magic of this squad right now that just, even though you may seem they are down and out, somehow they reach into the depths of their soul and find enough energy and willpower and get it done. They just get it done. And this game was that perfect example for me. Man, like coming down, obviously after back-to-back games, staying in Chihuahua, flying in immediately on Tuesday, having to play against Ontario. A tough team, by the way. A very tough team, regardless of what the scoreline says. I mean, we take it to a shootout. We get it to a shootout, Craig, and what happens?
Yeah, it's Giles, it's Escoto, and it's a win, 2-0. And the Sockers take that game. And they take a game that they had absolutely no business taking, right? And
yeah, honestly.
Sockers, of course, Sockers don't lose again and are rarely challenged the rest of the regular season. So I really do look at that as the biggest game of the regular season, that 8-7 win, the shootout win, down 4-0, capping off a 4-0 road trip. The other thing that happened in that game is another key moment in the Sockers season, which is there was a contested play in the Sockers box where Willie Spur, midfielder of the Fury, and Boris Pardo collided, and unfortunately Spur wound up with a broken leg. And that was sad, and it was definitely a turning point negatively for Ontario, in terms of losing an important player. But you do remember that I think it was 2 days after that game, Ontario's owner put out a press release alleging essentially intent for Boris Pardo in breaking Willie Spur's leg, and also alleging that the ball was dangerous, that it was too heavy, that it would travel 120 miles an hour, that it was causing concussions left and right, and that the whole league had to put up glass all the way around as a safety measure to protect the fans from this dangerous, dangerous ball. And I really did think that was the moment on both ends. It was the moment where Ontario really got their eye off the ball, metaphorically speaking.
What is up with balls surrounding Sockers? Like, there's always the ball debacles, like ball drama.
Right? But,
the ball
it just
is
the
too
Fury,
round. Sorry, that's hilarious.
Yeah, the ball is too round. There's a slipping issue. There's always something. There's always something. But it really did. It was Ontario taking their eye off the ball and not worrying about the soccer. Not worrying about how do we beat the Sockers on the field. It was like, no, let's see if we can take a bite of them off the field. Yeah. The other thing it did, though, Jerry, Boris Pardo was never the same. Pre-suspension, post-suspension. He had an eye of the tiger that never went away the rest of the year. And Boris did not have one subpar performance the rest of the season. And he said it, and he said it right to the owner of Ontario. Like, he was going to go a little extra hard every single time he faced Ontario. He was going to make sure that focus was a little bit even more in place than it was before, because he wasn't going to put up with it, basically, and put up with all the nonsense that they put him through. And I have to really thank Jeff Burham and the Fury for that, because honestly, I thought it was a turning point for both clubs. I never thought the Fury was the same, and I never thought the Sockers were the same either.
No, I have to agree with you on that. Absolutely. It was a turning point for both in opposite directions, I think. And for Boris, I mean, even talking to him throughout the season, even after that, there was a fire that was lit, and he absolutely wanted that championship. Like, there was, after all of that, after being out and just everything that had been thrown at him also just throughout the season, and I think something inside of him just changed, and you could see his face. He was just, on game time, it was, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it, and we're going to get there. And it was just an unbelievable thing to witness in person, and to hear him talk about how passionate he was and how much he wanted it. Right, he wanted the Ron Newman Cup, and here we are now talking about it with the Ron Newman Cup.
I don't want to make our guest wait too late, but just briefly, I had three more things listed down. There was a stretch of games that we didn't call it the Gauntlet, but I think these were the test games of the season. The Sockers were hot, they were rolling, and it was kind of like each week on whether it was MASL primetime or around the league, people were like, okay, Sockers look good, but how about when they play the real teams? Let's take a look. How about when they play red hot Kansas City that started the year 6-0? How about when they play Milwaukee, a legacy team that has the MVP on it and is better than you? How about when you play Chihuahua, because Chihuahua hasn't lost since you played them and they're coming in hot and maybe they're the best team in the league? And Sockers beat Kansas City, thumped them 8-2, beat Milwaukee, destroyed them 13-2, welcomed Chihuahua in, broke their 7-game winning streak, beat them 6-2. Okay, well, how about you go across the country to Baltimore twice, shorthanded both times, beat them both times. And after that, you were kind of like, okay, what other tests would you like to offer to the San Diego Sockers for them to take care of? And the answer was, well, what about Florida? Florida is the other best team in the league. They're coming into town. They beat Ontario the night before, and if they beat you, they can take the MASL Shield, which we learned the day before was a thing.
Yeah,
and the Sockers,
that wasn't a thing until the day before that, by the way. A reminder to everybody.
Right? And the Sockers are up 5-0 10 minutes into that game. They win it 11-4. They claim the MASL Shield and basically finish off every single moment, really, of this regular season. They answered every question, every single question, every test was answered over the course of those games, over that series of games. And then the last thing, of course, Jerry, I think we would all say the most important moment of the entire season, the semifinal.
Yeah.
Chihuahua. Because when push really does come to shove now, and when we really do look at it in the rear view mirror, we couldn't say that each of the last 2 weeks, but that was the final. If Chihuahua had beaten San Diego, I really, truly believe Chihuahua would have been the champion of the Major Arena Soccer League.
Yeah.
And they're the one team that was able to end San Diego's 22-game winning streak and take them out in overtime. Of course, that was easier said than done, even shorthanded. The Sockers pushed them to overtime, but took care of that, created the must-win 2, April 24th showdown evening. And I'm just so proud of that evening, Jerry, because the supporters of San Diego Soccer came out in droves. Los Brujos were there, but the locals came out as well. Some sirens were out as well. We had an incredible atmosphere in the arena, and the team took care of business. I think without question, the most exciting night of the entire season, a night where everything was on the line, and to see a very tired, very proud club pull 2 wins out of that night, the ultimate moment of the season, I'd say.
Yeah, what a game that was. And again, because of the atmosphere and what an exciting game that was in San Diego. And I think probably up to that point, absolutely the best game that we've had. It just as far as attendance, as far as the enthusiasm of the fans and everything that game meant, right? I think for a long time, Craig, everybody was talking about this should have been the final. Chihuahua and Soccer should have been the final. And it very much felt that way. And I think the Sockers took it that way. I think Chihuahua took it that way. The fans took it that way. And it just made for a fantastic game. And again, what a comeback, right, for San Diego to be able to make that happen after, rather than putting their heads down and saying, we lost, we should have won. Chihuahua it was one of those things. For Chihuahua, we knew it was going to be tough, and boom, off comes Mr. Craig Charles's mustache, and we go right at it. I mean, like, that's what happens, right? Hey, we lost. Cool. Bye, mustache. Let's go. Let's become more aerodynamic. And they did, and we just got it done in the semifinals. Really quick, I do see all of the comments, everybody, and welcome to anybody that is not a Sockers fan. We love y'all. Kelsey, I'm sorry if you're not enjoying this, but we totally beat Milwaukee, and so that's what happens. Please enjoy it, and I'll make more eye contact for you. By the way, thanks.
It was 13-2, Kelsey, and then it was 9-2, and then it was 9-3. Factually, those were the three scores when the Sockers played the wonderful, dynamic Milwaukee Wave with Ian Bennett, our dear friend Marcio Leite, and Gordy Gerson.
Not there anymore, but yeah, I mean, what a special team that is too. And when they came in, I was so excited to have them in the house too. And that was, again, I mean, all the teams that came in from the East, right, that played us, I think, like you said, it was a wow when well, how do you do against these guys? Sure, you can beat the West Coast teams, but you face them all the time. What about these guys? And we just took care, we kept taking care of the job. We just kept doing what we had to do, and it was just, it was kind of a, all right, haters, keep hating. How about this? How about that? Here you go. But there you have it.
Listen, we've still got our Otsker Awards, OTSCAR Awards for Soccer's OT. We'll be giving those away in a little bit. If you're listening in the office, you can go ahead and dial in now. We'd love to bring in our special guest because he is a man, Jerry, that we only we talk around, we talk about occasionally, but truly, really and truly, one of the great individuals and the most important individuals in this Soccer's organization, to the point that we've called him all year Soccer's MVP.
Yes, we have.
Athletic trainer Paul Savage, a guy I've known since 2010, so 12 years now. I've known Savvy, as everyone calls him, with the club, and we are so excited because this is the first time in his Soccer's tenure that he has agreed to be an interview. He has agreed to be subjected to the interview process. Normally, he turns us down. He just says no.
No, he's too busy usually, man. But I think we just got him at the right time. And you know what? In his honor, because this is so freaking special to us, the two of us, I'm going to pop a new can open. All right, and let's bring him in.
Let's go.
Let's bring him in.
Let's welcome in the MVP, Paul Savage, joining us on Soccer's Overtime. What's up, Savage?
Thanks, guys. You finally got me.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. Finally got you.
As you said, 2 championships, and you can have me on. Not one.
Not one. 2.
2 and a shield is what it took to get
postseason.
Yes. So good to have you.
First question, Paul. Have you taken a nap?
I got a slight nap in. I'm still getting up early to go to the arena to clean up after our celebration and putting everything away for the next season. So still working. We had our exit physicals today and team meetings, so still getting work done, but definitely got some trips planned and a few concerts ahead of me to definitely get some rest in.
Yeah, Paul, one of the things that we've been talking about all season, and I think it started right as we said, one of those moments when we had the comeback against the Fury, and we just started talking about how dominant this team was starting to look, and then they just kept being dominant. They kept being dominant. So in your eyes, from your perspective, what made this team so dominant all season?
I think it all started back last season. Like, we really came together on the road. We definitely had a losing record to start last year, but all that time away, all the time, we kind of grew as a family, especially with the COVID rules. We didn't go out at all. We're sequestered in these hotels for days, and we go to Florida, we're in a hotel for 5 days. So we spent a lot of time together, and the team really bonded together. So we knew we had a good core coming back, and we were good. But I mean, preseason, I think we were looking at the schedule, going, we'll be lucky to be 500. We're lucky, we thought we had eight losses on the schedule when we looked at it. The way those East Coast trips and the trips to Chihuahua. So we were definitely worried. But that very first trip to Seattle, you could definitely see the guys come together in the locker room that we haven't had in a long time. Back to the championship days when we were winning year in, year out. The guys really just came together as a family and as a group, and you got a good feeling of that from the very first road trip. I mean, the very first road trip was a nightmare, and we still, no one knows about it. We got through it, and it was the team bonded through that, and we just kept going and didn't lose until, the MVP got sick and we dropped a game. But, it happens.
Getting guys back is one of the stories that is never told over the course of a season in general, because it's, from a fan perspective, it's just there's a player gone and then there's a player that came back and probably something happened in between, but that player is just absent until he returns. But I think of two guys in particular: Christian Gutierrez, coming off the floor after the Florida game, where we all thought, okay, he's done. Like, that's it. It's probably a broken ankle. And then Leonardo de Oliveira in the playoffs. Let's maybe just start with Christian, because that seemed like for sure it was a season-ending injury. What was the process to get Christian Gutierrez back on the floor 10 days later?
We have a very good medical team, and it's not just me. We have many hands working around the clock to get these guys back. But you're right, Christian's was a very scary one for us because we have a lot of good technology and we have a lot of advanced stuff. So that night in the locker room, we were scanning it, and it showed the possibility of a fracture in there, and we all left that night thinking the season's over. Like, we just lost a very important piece that you can't replace what he does for us. So we were all pretty upset that night, waiting patiently for the follow-up the next day with doctors and advanced x-rays, and hoping that it wasn't broken, but it didn't look good at that night. And then once we found out it wasn't broken, then it was time to go to work, and he got treatment 2, 3, 4 times a day around the clock with stuff at his house. So between seeing me at practice in the mornings, being at Olympus with Anne-Marie, going to wherever PT needed to, doing his own stuff in the gym, doing stuff at home. I mean, he just around the clock worked on it and got it back. And he's one tough guy, and he played through a lot of pain those first couple games. I mean, his ankle is still pretty swollen, and we put a cast on it, and he just played through it. And we're like, "Are you sure you're all right?" And I mean, that thing would swell up. We'd go on a road trip. I mean, just the flights alone would puff that thing up, and we'd spend all the night before getting it back to playable for the next day. And then we go through, it was just an up and down battle all season long to get that ankle playable, and then finally got healthy probably about 2 months after the injury. But it was definitely a battle all season long with that thing.
What about Leo too? Getting him ready for the grand final.
Leo was a headache and a nightmare all in one. Leo's never had a significant injury. So when it first happened with Leo, we're like, all right, a little calf strain, tightened up after a long trip. We came back. It was at a Tuesday morning train, just doing some running. Like, oh, my calf hurts a little bit. Oh, no big deal. We even got a scan on it. Shows no big tear. We're like, all right, Leo's okay. We'll just kind of nurse him around for a few days. And we traveled him down the Chihuahua with us. And that was the biggest mistake we made. It blew up, hardened up, inflammation that we couldn't control. And it was a big problem after that. And we were really concerned after that if we'd get him back at all. Once we got him back into San Diego from that Chihuahua trip, it was round-the-clock treatment again with everyone. But the big one about Leo is our chiropractor. He did an amazing job with him, because when I was out of town with the team, he took him under his wing and kind of that was his project. I basically said, I'm on the road, take him in. I want you to do this, and this daily. And he was with Corey every night and spent 2 hours at his facility and just kind of babied him all night long. And I would get updates on the road while we were in Florida. And every day I'm telling the coaches, hey, look he's running, he's doing stuff. We might get him back. And all the hard work from all of us we put into him, and he definitely came back in for that final game. But he didn't do much in that game, so we gave him a hard time.
But he came back. That's the point.
We got him back on the field.
Yeah.
There's guys that are knocked all the time, Paul, that fans may not even know because of the work that you do behind the scenes in terms of getting guys healthy, keeping them healthy. One other that we didn't talk about, but a lot of the fans in the chat are bringing up is Charlie Gonzalez, who also had a hamstring injury and came back very, very quickly from that. What do you think was the biggest behind the scenes health story for the Sockers this year?
There's a lot of directions you can go with that one. Let's start with, what do we play? 26, 27, 28 guys this year? I don't think anyone on this team wasn't healthy at some point in the season. I mean, every one of our guys had something at some point, and it was like Phil would come to me and it's like making the lineup for the games. He'd be like, "Okay, who's healthy enough to play? Like, who do I have?" And it wasn't like him telling me the lineup. It was like, "Okay, who's healthy enough to play this week?" So we definitely had some stretches where we were running out of players. We didn't have enough guys to play. But teaching Charlie how we do things here. I mean, he came from a team that doesn't really have a trainer there all the time, or how to do treatment. So teaching Charlie how to use us, how to use us as a resource, how to get his treatment with me at practice, with Emery at Olympus, and using us daily to get what he needs done to get back on the field. And he was so surprised that he did nurse that hamstring, but he missed days, not weeks. So that was a nice surprise, because we couldn't miss another midfielder for a long period of time. But I think another one would be is Boris. None of you guys know Boris was hurting probably the last month or so of the season. I mean, he was not in great shape. His hands are, his body's beat up from the wear and tear of the season. And he just would come in, quietly take care of his body, and just go after it again the next day. But I mean, that season definitely took a toll on him, and we'll be doing treatment on Boris probably for the next couple weeks just to get him back to normal from the wear and tear of a long season. The biggest health story, how about calling someone, getting a phone call at 9 in the morning saying, "I'm sick." Serta calls me, so Captain calls me 9 in the morning, "I'm sick." Okay, we get him some medicine. Calls me back at noon. "No, I can't play tonight." "Serta, we don't have any more players. You're playing tonight." "No, I can't play." "All right." So we have our coach calling Brian Farber at like 1:30 in the afternoon while he's out shopping with his wife. "Can you play tonight?" Farber hasn't played in 2 months, hasn't trained at all. "Sure, coach. I'll go get my cleats and I'll show up at the arena. I'll be there in an hour."
Oh no.
We Brian Farber out of the mall and dressed up in a game because we did not have any more players that were healthy enough to play. I mean, we were definitely using everyone on our roster. Everyone we used at some point. Everyone played a role. It was just trying to keep patching it enough to where we had enough players to get through games, especially with some of the stretches we had when we had those 5 games and we shoot. Everybody missed a game here or there. Like no one made it, I think, all the way through the season.
Is everybody listening right now starting to understand why we call this man the MVP? Like, this is the stuff that no one knows about, that he has to be front and center and to deal with. And yeah, man, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. And on that kind of note, and obviously, I mean, you've said it. You don't do this by yourself, but I'm interested to find out, like, within the team, I'm sure there's a bunch of guys here that help you out and give you a bit of help, but who would you say for this season, if you can think of maybe one person, who would be like your biggest helper? That's Craig.
one trip wonder. Well, this was definitely changed because this is the first year in a long time for our organization that we've had true rookies. So normally we have a very veteran team, and it's been kind of like, when we travel, I don't travel lightly. I travel 10 check bags, 8 carry-on bags. I mean, I got a lot of gear I take on the road to make sure this all happens. So the veterans know what I do and what I put into this, so they all pretty much pick up. But having 2 or 3 rookies traveling with us this year definitely was a nice luxury to have for me. I mean, Xavier and Sean and Cheeky definitely learned like what I need from them, what is expected from them, and they definitely picked up a lot of slack. But I mean, on our very first trip, I mean, my coaching staff's emptying out the cars and loading them up on the things to get in the hotel so the guys can go upstairs and get rest. So I mean, everyone on this team really pitches in. It's whoever's on the road, it's all hands on deck. It's like, if I have an extra player with me, it's him. If I have a coach with me, it's them. If I have LC with me, I'm putting them to work. It's whoever I have. There's so many things to get done that whoever I can get to do something, it's next guy up to fill in the void and get it done.
It's all part of the workout, right? Carrying the bags and just It's a workout in itself,
got
so it's just part of staying
he's
healthy.
coffee. There's a lot of little things that go into it. We do have we are a very spoiled organization, very spoiled players. I think if you talk to anyone that's ever left here, they'll talk about how they feel special being in this organization. If you talk to Oliete or Vinzella, they'll tell you the difference of being with the Sockers than maybe where they've been or where they've been at before. We do a lot of things in this organization to make them feel special, to do the right things, to take it a notch above and try to set the gold standard in this league. And I think it rubs off. I think Charlie really example that. He came from where he was at in Ontario the whole time to us, and he didn't understand we have this. It'll always be there for you. Whatever you need, just ask and it's done. And I think when he saw that and he got into the family and he felt really comfortable, and you could see him really flourish as the season went on.
Yeah, good example.
Well, I want people to understand this too, though, because when you say that you can tell a player, hey, listen, this is there for you. These resources are available to you. What you really mean is you, because I've been on these road trips, as you know, many times, and let's just say the Sockers get in to their hotel at 10:30 at night. Well, that means that everyone needs to get their hotel room, and so Paul is the first guy to the counter to get everybody their room, to get everybody their room keys, to get everybody distributed. Yes, the rookies are helping carry the bags in. Yes, we may get the bags over to Paul's room, but once you get your key and you get in your room, it's time to lay on the bed, to do whatever you're going to do, to go to sleep. Not Paul. Paul then goes room to room to room to room, giving each guy that needs it their individual treatment, and whether that is a massage, whether it's the Normatec, the boots, all of this stuff. Meanwhile, there's laundry to do. You might be doing laundry until 4 or 5 in the morning. You might be doing treatment until 3 in the morning, but there's a breakfast at 7:30 in the morning, and so you've got to have your door open for that and be like, okay,
COVID.
guys, there's water here, there's chips.
So the other thing is with COVID and everything is all the hotels didn't serve breakfast. So when you're saying serve breakfast, guess what breakfast was in my room at 7:30 to 9:30 in my room. But
Jeez.
I'm out shopping at midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, whenever I got done with the rooms, going and getting that breakfast, or getting up at 6 o'clock when a store opened and getting out early and getting into my room beforehand. So yeah, there's definitely some long nights. I might get a nap here every once in a while, but a lot of that is just planning and being ready. Like when you're talking about giving the room keys and being coordinated with the hotels, I'm the travel person. I mean, it's a one man show on the road. I don't have this year. We didn't travel with any help. In years past, I'd travel someone, an equipment person or another medical person with me, or even anyone that we had in the organization to kind of really take in whatever we need to do to do the shopping, to load the coolers, to prep all the laundry, like you said, to go shopping, get the coffee, go set up the locker rooms, whatever needed. But our guys do get spoiled. They go to their rooms and they just go to my room, pick up whatever snacks they want, because of course they want their midnight snacks. They got to have snacks and drinks and Gatorades. And then they go to their room and they do their Normatec boots and their recovery boots. And every guy has their own thing. Some guys will do just boots. Some guys will want a massage and boots. Some guys will need treatment. My goalie will need a massage on his back. Charlie had a bad flight and his neck's tight, so you had to go work on Charlie's neck. So every night's different. But what happens is we cater in dinner, which was a big thing we did over COVID. Is so every night when we get into a hotel, we cater in our dinner and we have our family dinner, team dinner together. And during our team dinner, I basically kind of go up to each guy and like, okay, what do you need tonight? And make that list and kind of hit the rooms. And I know some players, like a captain, would be early to bed, and then I got some guys that might play video games till the 2 a.m. slot. So I can kind of slot them in, knowing their bedtime and work around their sleep schedule. And they leave their doors open. I prop in, and I mean, I heard a goalie might even got some treatment while he was sleeping this year. I don't know. So never know what Big Toe needs some rubbing while he's still sleeping. So
That's amazing, man.
Well, Paul, to be able to do this, you need to be able to stay awake. So I'd like for the audience in the court for you to please describe your relationship with one Mountain Dew.
So that's been an ongoing battle for me for quite some time. The captain's been hassling me about for a minute. I was a big Mountain Dew guy for all these seasons, and Child's always trying to get me off that. He's like on the road. Come on, drink some water, drink something, get off. No more drink coffee, drink something. I'm not a coffee guy, so I'll drink any caffeine, but I was always Mountain Dew. So I started to get away from the Mountain Dew and got into like sparkling, anything caffeine I can get that wasn't Mountain Dew to try to like break it. But sometimes on the road, you get what you have. Whatever's at the store when I go there, it's any caffeine intake I can get to keep going. So I'll have 4 or 5 different caffeinated drinks just to get through. And then now I'm going through the caffeine withdrawal to get off all the caffeine on a daily basis, because that's what got me through 6 months of these long, nice 4 or 5 day road trips and all nighters and going all night. But it's getting there, getting off it, getting. I know you saw the Mountain Dew on the road.
I mean, I'm just wondering, like, normally you're a straight Mountain Dew guy, but I think I saw some Mountain Dew Kickstart occasionally, right? Like
the Kickstart, they made a new energy drink from Mountain Dew. I'm a big Rockstar guy, but my big kick now is a sparkling caffeinated sparkling water. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Trying to get healthier is the no sugar stuff. Trying to get better with the guys.
I appreciate that.
Listen, I have to say though, Mountain Dew is pretty darn good. Like Baja Blast is my favorite, but just a regular Mountain Dew, I'll drink it all day too. So I'm with you.
Now that I've been offered, I can't drink it. The regular stuff, really.
Yeah.
It's a hard drink for me. I'll hit it once or twice on the road when that's all I can get my hands on. But it's too sugary for me now. I've gotten away from a lot of the sugary stuff. So it's
nice.
Child's been getting on me, and it's working. So we'll see.
You have to listen to the other MVP. You're MVP,
yeah,
and he's MVP. MVPs have to help each other out. You know.
We do take care of each other. Many leave those rooms.
Well,
if you don't have his candy bar or his M&Ms or something in his room, he's definitely not gonna have a good game the next night. So there's definitely
Oh, I've been on those shopping trips with you. You're like, yeah, we got to get this. Got to get the gummy worms. Yeah, Giles has got to get his M&Ms. I think it's a peanut M. Is it a peanut M&M?
Oh yeah, he needs a sharing size peanut M&M for whoever his roommate is for sure. And I think the roommate might get 1 or 2 out of that bag. But that's one of the things we do. Like say we're taking care of our players. It's every guy has their own little need or niche that they want. One player will only drink a Monster Energy drink as his caffeine before a game. One guy will only want this thing. One guy only wants flushable wipes. Like it's like things you pick up on the road, and you have a list for individual guys, and you give them their little things. Some need a hairspray can on a road. Some need this. So it's like taking care of each guy specifically and individually, and making them feel special, and trying to make sure they don't have to do anything except think about playing soccer on the road. They're going to show up. They know they're going to be fed. They're going to have everything they need. All they got to do is get their treatment, wake up, play soccer, and then have some food that night and relax as a team and have a good time. So we try to make it to where once they're on the road, they don't have to think about anything else but soccer, and we can really focus and get going and have fun as a big family and a big group.
Love it.
Paul Savage, team MVP. Friend, traveling companion for 12 years. Yeah, I mean, you make me feel comfortable on the road too. Anything I need, you always say, hey, whatever you need, boss. Scalp massage, keep the brain in proper functioning.
It's true. Some of us have to put up with some snoring or something every once in a while when you're on the road, but
Oh, well, listen, I mean, you and I traveled to Australia for 2 weeks, so there's no secrets remaining.
I think I did end up in a different room halfway through, though.
Fair enough. Listen, I definitely...
The Spanish and the snoring, I had to finally get some sleep.
The Duolingo lessons continue, all right, Paul?
Yeah,
that was only like 700 days. I'm up to 1,100 now. Come on.
Every day I heard that Duolingo while we're on the road.
you could hear Craig on the other side of your room. ¿Cómo se dice champion? Campeón. Campeón. And then you get a phone call. Where's my chocolate peanut M&Ms? Oh man, poor Paul.
Yeah, Craig just does. Yeah, he's like savvy. I don't have my M&Ms.
I might get text like, "Are you forget about me? Or you might coming?" Like, cause it's normally having to go set up like each room, get the like you said, getting all the Normatex out to each room and doing that, and then it's getting the child's room. So I'll get a text like, "Are you coming? You forget about me?" Or, open the door. Oh, finally! I thought I was gonna, you know. He'll always razz me a little bit about if he's waiting more than a few minutes for his special attention, his good night tuck in. So
It's good night, Tuckin.
we got to put the captain to sleep.
Oh.
He has his candy and he's all tucked in, ready for bed.
Nice.
Well, Paul, we're already receiving comments that this is the most insightful interview in soccer's overtime history, which shows you how terrible we are as producers that we
Hey.
waited till.
We are ending the season with a blast, and I'm so glad it's with Paul. Like, let me tell you.
You guys have been trying for a long time to get me on here, but I mean, some of the stories they don't even hear about is like one of our flights to Seattle this year. We showed up at the airport at like 11:30. Like, okay, 1 o'clock flight, we're good. I'll get to the counter. Do you know your flight just took off? What? Yeah, you had 11:30 flight. I'm like, here's my travel stuff. Yeah, we missed a flight completely. The airline changed our flight and didn't notify us from our 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock flight. So not even like getting our players to know about this or do anything at the counter while they're all showing up. We already rebooked our whole team on a 3 o'clock flight and got us all situated. All I did was divert our bus to a house down by the airport and ordered lunch, and we went and hung out for an hour, watched the soccer game, ate lunch, and just turned around an hour and a half later, went back to the airport and started all over again. But what that doesn't do is it had to change our dinner reservations I already ordered, and so I had to call our restaurants and change everything, get everything and talk a manager and deliver it now because there's no way I was going to get to it. So a lot of sweet talking and bribing and a lot of backroom deals to get everything that we needed done. But the guys had no idea really. Like, oh, there's a problem with the plane. No problem. We'll fix it. So,
Wow.
and what the craziest thing, when we re-diverted that 3:30 flight, that flight got canceled. So I actually had to divert us and get us on a different flight. And I kind of smooth talked the ticket lady to where I bought her a coffee and she switched all of our tickets before they released them, or else we would have been on an 8 o'clock flight out that night. So we got out on a 5 o'clock flight instead of the 8 o'clock flight. And the guys we all hung out at the airport all day and hung out and but the guys just took it in, didn't really complain about it. We just did our thing and got in, ate dinner a little bit later, started all the stuff a little bit later. But 11 o'clock, what we thought was 11:30 airport for a 1 o'clock flight turned into being a 5:30 flight, get in at 9 and starting dinner at 9:30 and, starting the night till that was a 4 a.m. and then go the next day. So, or the nice bus, or the Blizzard road trip to Utica that we hopefully never do again.
This also brings up we told the story 2 weeks ago on the show, Paul, but game 1 of the finals when I was there, and the Tropics, we're not going to call you for that morning workout. We don't know, the arena might not be open, and so we just go down there and force the issue, and then load up a locker room and get another call, right? I think you called me around 1 o'clock saying, hey, get up. We got to go back. We got to redo the entire locker room. We got to move the whole thing. Players didn't know. Players didn't give a crap. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing, is setting it up behind the scenes.
So getting up really early that morning to go, and luckily we were in Florida. We were in Florida for 5-6 days last year with COVID. We had a big 3-game trip down there. So I got to kind of know some of the arena staff down there. I kind of know how that building works and operates, and kind of know how Florida is themselves. They want to be the East Coast to us. They definitely want to be us. They're doing everything they can to win a championship. So I knew they were going to be tough on everything, and it's going to be a big battle with them. But I knew they weren't going to give us an arena time. I knew there was new turf. So I knew if we went down there, we would get in. So we definitely snuck in the back door and got the security to open up for us and get in the building and act like we were supposed to be there. And I knew we were in that locker room with last year, so I knew that it was available. And I didn't think if we set up in there, I didn't think they would actually kick us out. But of course, they're like, oh, no, can't use that. Go to the room that only has chairs in the corner and that has curtains, and we don't want you to have the nice one. So I'm like, all right. So set it all up again, and, another hour and a half. Luckily, I had some helping hands there, and we changed over the locker rooms. But the guys definitely noticed the difference. They're like, oh, they made us move everything after our walkthrough. Okay, another thing to put. And then, of course, I think the heaters might have been in our building when they showed up to our locker rooms this year. I think the SEALs had a game before us, and the heaters were on in our locker rooms. I don't know. So what goes around?
Little bad luck there.
So not our building either. So we had to put them in the locker room that had heaters on all night. So
That's a bummer.
yeah,
It's just unfortunate for them. It's really just it's a tough break all the way around. Well,
but
Savvy, we'll let you get back to it, brother.
I think the difference is, like, when the Florida came to us, guess who's setting up their locker room? They had both their coaches in there trying to set up their locker room. They didn't have me. They didn't have someone else doing that. Their coaches, and a lot of these teams, that's all they have traveling. And, they might travel a trainer, their coaches. So what we have and what we get, our guys get in how spoiled they are. That's most teams don't have that. And I take pride in having our visitor locker room look better than a home team locker room. And if you see us how we set up with our nameplates, they go with us wherever we go. We'll set up our locker room like it's our home locker room, home, away, neutral site, wherever we're at. We do our thing the soccer's way, and it's always going to be the highest level. So
That's awesome, man. That's why you're the MVP, and that's why I'm so glad. And I know Craig is very glad. And everybody watching right now is very glad to have you on. And
Yes,
you're
sir.
ending
Yes,
this season with a bang indeed, sir. Thank you
perfect.
so much.
Glad you guys enjoyed.
Thank
Do it
you,
again.
Savvy. Everyone knows now to make sure to get you a beer next time they see you. Buy Savvy a beer. Not a
Secret
Mountain Dew.
Secret weapon.
You're the man, Savvy. Thank you so much, brother. We love you. We appreciate you so much all the time. I'm so glad we can get this out for everybody else to know.
I'm definitely going to get Jerry with the uniforms. So I'm going to set him up one day. I'm going to come in and switch out before he leaves and be totally confused him.
I haven't told that story yet to everybody, but maybe someday I will. Next time you come on, we can tell that story. All right, we'll see you, man. Thank you so much,
All right,
brother.
guys. Have a good night.
Take care, Paul. You bet. Athletic trainer. And now you understand why we call him the MVP.
Mm-hmm. What a legend. What an absolute legend. And you know what? The crazy thing is that's probably like just a couple of many, many stories that Paul has.
Oh, yeah.
Many, many stories. Wow.
There are more. You might want to buy him some high-end whiskey. He's an aficionado
Top
of
shelf.
high-end whiskey, and if you get some of the top shelf stuff, you might get some of the best stories as well. That's just a little veteran tip from me to you. What a great interview, man! I'm so happy, and it was so cool to see all the comments and see all the reactions for people who really don't, and I get it, but they just don't know how important Paul Savage is to this club, and he's a difference maker. He's a true differentiator between the Sockers and the next best team, in the MASL. The next best team is really good, but they don't have Paul.
Flushable wipes and hairspray. Interesting. I bet you the hairspray, if I could take a guess at that, it has to be Brian Farber, right? It has to be.
I mean, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Kelsey, Malort might do the job. That's a good call. Kelsey's in here doing Oppo research, trying to figure out the way to scuttle our next road trip to Milwaukee. I appreciate that.
Yeah, she's trying to figure out how to help.
Awesome. How to help or not help.
Or not
as
help.
the case may be.
Yeah.
Maybe be just a little too helpful, and then Paul is a little too incapacitated.
Sure would be a shame if all the peanut M&Ms in Milwaukee went missing. Oh, man.
It's a trap.
I knew it.
We should have never let her in. I'm kicking her out. I'm going to ban her. I'm just kidding.
Well, we got a lot to get to before the show's over. So let's get to our Oscar Awards, Jerry. We've got the Oscar Awards, the Soccer's OT, Soccer's Overtime Oscar Awards. Just a chance to throw some superlatives out there, right? So I came up with a set of 6 categories, and I've got a couple other ones that we'll do real quick at the end. But let's start with the best Soccer's performance. Ah, yes, there's the music. I was figuring there'd be some musical accompaniment.
Of course.
To the Oscars. Best Soccer's performance in a leading role. This is a one-game performance, so one film, one game. Best Soccer's performance in a leading role. I wonder if we have the same answer. Jerry, please go ahead.
Oh, no. You're going to make me go first?
Yeah, I'm going to make you.
No, why would you do that? Okay, fine.
Because I think we have the same answer on this one.
Wait, what was the question again? Best soccer's performance in a leading role. Okay, one game.
Yes.
Do we have the same answer? I'm going to go with Tavoy Morgan. The 4-goal game was pretty epic. I have to say Tavoy Morgan.
When he got the first 4.
Yes.
Yeah. That's my call, too. Tavoy Morgan, March 31st against Florida.
Okay.
Winds up with 5 goals and 2 assists. But gets the first 4 goals of the game. Dances.
Yes.
Dances the Sockers to the MASL Shield. That is our best Sockers performance in the leading role. Tavoy Morgan, please come up. Receive your Oscar.
Receive your Oscar. I love that so much. I don't know why it makes me giggle so much. Okay, sorry. Serious.
Right. Next up, and I'll go, is Best Sockers Supporting Actor. Who was the best supporting actor on the Sockers? And for me, this is an easy one. It's the past master. It's Leonardo de Oliveira. No one did anything better to support their teammates than Leo, leading the league with 33 assists. But Leo did so much more to support his teammates than just the goals and assists. He was the team leader in track back. He was the team leader in digging back through the midfield to steal back a ball or to hold a ball against a double team or a triple team in the midfield. He had double-digit blocked shots to go with 46 points. And that supporting effort for Leonardo de Oliveira is why he is my best Sockers supporting actor.
I am going to go with Charlie Gonzalez on this one because I think he did a fantastic job. I don't have any pinpoint moments because I just think that there's actually 2. The next award could very much go to him as well, but I feel like he's in the best soccer supporting actor award winner just based on how much he added in just in the assists, in the locker room, in just being himself. He added so much and he was so selfless the entire season that I think he deserves it. So there's so much more I can talk about, but we have a lot of these to go through. But I'm gonna go with. I do agree. I feel like Leo is absolutely a winner there, but I'm gonna go with Charlie Gonzalez on this one. Best soccer supporting actor.
Terrific call. Terrific call, and it's great to have different guesses as well. By the way, Marlisha, Soccer's historian Marlisha in the chat is exactly right, and I went back to my scorebook to see it. In that game, it was Tavoy getting 3 in a row, then Charlie, then Tavoy again. You're exactly right,
Marlisha. Thank you.
Your recap sharper than the broadcasters, no problem. Next, and it's somewhat similar as you said, but also an old MISL award that they used to give out for the championship series. Who was the Soccer's unsung hero this year? So many options here, Jerry. There's no wrong answers.
I got it. I think I got it. Guerrero Pino, for me. Guerrero Pino has to be the Soccer's unsung hero. He hasn't gotten the recognition that he deserves back in the defense and in just everything that he did this season, man. I mean, he had so many excellent performances. I know that at the end of the season it was a little bit tougher, but, I mean, even counting that, I think he was very much the unsung hero of the season.
That's a great call. Like I said, there's no wrong answers. I love Marlisha's answer in the chat of Phil Salvaggio as the unsung hero, and I think that's fair because he certainly did not have his praises sung by the MASL at the end of the year. His name was unsung. So I appreciate that. I think Pino's a great answer. Cardenas would be a great answer. And so would a couple of the other guys in the defense, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Juan Manuel Rojo because he was a player who was one of the last players on the team. And I know for a fact was not rated by Soccer's upper management to the level where he wound up being at the end of the year. he wound up leading MASL defenders in points. He had 25 points, 12 goals, 13 assists. But more than anything else, I think Juan Manuel Rojo added a speed dimension to the Sockers that they just didn't have before. And it gave Christian Gutierrez a running partner. Yeah. And it created the TJ counter. And from that point, you saw the TJ counter all season long as one of the most potent weapons in the MASL. Rojo didn't receive any votes for top defender or for, Elite Six or second team, etc. But that's why I list him as an unsung hero.
Nice. I like it.
All right. How about fresh new face? Who's the fresh new face, the ingenue of the Sockers 2021-22?
Want me to go first?
Yes, go ahead.
Honestly, I have to go with Xavier Snare Williams. I feel like he brought so many smiles to the locker room, and his energy is absolutely so amazing, and it is so it makes you want to smile. Like, his energy was just overflowing, and his positivity, his just way of looking at things, the way he even walked into every game with the clap and just like, let's go. And even after the games, even if he didn't play, like, the guy is just a beacon of light, and he is so positive. And I think having him around was amazing for this team, and he got messed with quite a bit. Some things maybe a lot of people didn't get to see, but he was messed with a lot. But you know what? He just kept going, and he's just like, I know I'm the rookie, but you know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them what I got. And he sure did. And I think that when we needed him to step up, he very much did. So for X, I think he has to be my fresh new face. What about yours?
I love it. I think that's a great answer. I think it's even the correct answer. I'll just throw another name out there for diversity and to make sure we get as many guys DAP as possible, and that's John Callahan, who was not being counted on at all coming into this season and wound up being a part of almost every playoff lineup, getting one of the most important assists of the year on Felipe Gonzalez's go-ahead goal in Game 2 of the semifinal, and just fitting in seamlessly. Even wound up being Craig Childs' road roommate down the stretch when Brian Farber wasn't traveling, which is a very important, as we just heard from Savvy. There's some important secondary responsibilities to being Craig Childs' roommate. So Sean Callahan, incredible, and another great fresh new face. You could say Chiquis Garcia, you could say Big Rojo. There's a lot of different directions you could go there, but I thought X, great, well said for the fresh new face. All right, I'll go for favorite Sockers goal of the year. This is one goal, and it doesn't have to be the biggest. It just has to be your favorite goal of the year. And I got to go, Jerry. It comes in a loss. I know. But 11 seconds to play. Shorthanded.
Yes.
On the road. One set piece. And Craig Childs drinks the blood of his opponents and fires in a solo effort, set piece goal, unstoppable into the top corner at Chihuahua. Definitely my favorite opposing call of the year with Carlos and Jimmy. Just like, no sabes. No sabes. It's just so good.
Oh, man. This is a really tough one for me because I have so many favorites, and I want to go different, but that was probably my favorite, honestly. I think you called it. Obviously, I mean, we have to give kudos to another Craig Childs goal, the winning goal of the championship. But,
yes,
dude, that diving header by Felipe. Oh, my. You cannot, and we talked about this quite a bit. That is a goal that's difficult even in the outdoor game, let alone the indoor game. I mean, what a beautiful goal. And then right after that, I mean, he goes ahead and passes it over to Childs, and Childs scores another. Like, it just, I don't know. There's so many. It's very difficult, but I'm going to go with the header goal, honestly. I think that was that's always going to be in my mind as one of the coolest looking goals scored for the Sockers this season.
I love it. Last category we had was craziest moment. This is wide open.
You go first on this one.
All right. For me, my craziest moment was the second game at Baltimore, the second road trip to Baltimore, and Eddie Velez scoring a hat trick. And Paul Mittermeier, the announcer of Baltimore, being so mad and just going, "No, not again." That was my absolute favorite. A guy who had barely played the entire year, and he comes in the one game that we need him because we have no forwards for that game, right? We had like no Tavoy, no Craig, no Christian.
Yeah.
And Eddie pops a hat trick, and they're just like in pure disbelief. Just they can't even understand that this could happen, that El Vaquero could ride again. That to me was the craziest moment of the season.
There's so many, but the one for me that kind of sticks out is the 11-10 game in Chihuahua.
Yeah.
That was nuts. That was such a crazy game. And it was such a cool moment, too, for me personally, just being able to be there with you and calling that game. But just those two games, man, those back-to-back games, I think that weekend was my craziest moment, actually. It just encompassed what the sport of indoor can be, where you think you're good. You're not. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's just like, I think if you go back and listen to it, I must have said, "Oh, my God," like a million times because it was crazy. It was so crazy. There were so many moments this season, but I would say that's me personally. That would be mine.
Real quick, I had a couple other just, like in the commercial, they announced these Oscars. Best director, come on, Phil Salvaggio was the best director of the MASL this season. Best documentary has to be the Sockers IG stories. Go to our Instagram stories at San Diego Sockers for the best documentation of the Sockers win. I would especially suggest you go to our two finals stories from Florida and from San Diego, both of which are like somewhere between 80 and 100 frames of each of them and are just, absolutely outstanding. The best animated short, Oscar, well, it goes to any Tavoy Morgan dance because who's more animated than Tavoy Morgan?
Yeah,
in his short dances. And of course, the Oscar for best picture.
Hold on, let me guess. Hold on. It has to be Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, right?
No, it's Two Cups and a Shield. My favorite picture of the year.
Craig. Okay. Sorry.
Two Cups and a Shield. That's it, K-Vibber. Two Cups and a Shield. My favorite picture, man. Back-to-back Ron Newman Cup championships with an MASL shield right in between. Championships found. That is my best picture.
Love it.
All right. An exciting year for the MASL. We're approaching the end of the show. Don't worry, Kelsey. We'll work on more shields. They created the thing 24 hours before we won it. What do you want?
We're the first ones to get it.
That's it.
And we're awesome. The Sockers are awesome.
So let's buzz through quickly the MASL year in review. And, on field, Jerry, I think you just got to give put the Sockers aside. We're talking about the rest of the league. I just give big ups to the Chihuahua Savage. I think this was an incredible year for the Chihuahua Savage. Credit to Kansas City for having a really good season and building on last year, and getting back to the semis. Credit to Florida for getting to the finals, their first trip to the finals, winning their first playoff series, and having all the success they had. That was incredible. But really, it's Chihuahua, 0-5-2 to then win 15 of 17, to go down a game in their quarterfinal series against Baltimore and beat the Blast twice. and make it to the semis, to beat the Sockers, to put the Sockers back against the wall. All the credit to Luis Jaime Borrego, all the credit to the Savage. Just really a brilliant season, and I think they were a big credit to this league.
I absolutely agree, and happy late birthday to Borrego too, who celebrating his birthday month. But yeah, Chihuahua was fantastic. We have to also give big on-field ups to Florida, sir, because man, they brought it this season, and for a while we're like, they're gunning for it. Here they are. They're doing fantastic, and they did. They had such a fantastic season, so we have to give kudos to them too.
Yeah. And the team on the rise this year, Dallas, the team that made the biggest move was the Sidekicks from being considered, honest to God, at the beginning of the year, the 12th place team. I think everybody at the beginning of the year thought Dallas was the worst team in the league and that they would be the pushover of the league, that they might be, 2-22, 3-21, however you want to put it. And then they start off 0-3. And if I remember right, not only were they 0-3, but I think they were minus 11, in their first 3 games, like 11-4-22 against. And then, Pablo gets the boot. Ricardinho is installed. Jamie asks for a trade from San Diego to Dallas. And honestly, the rest is history. And I think it's a better league if Dallas is a strong team. I want to see the legacy franchises be leaders. And there's no fun in the Sidekicks being the doormat of the league, which they really honestly were for about 4 or 5 seasons in a row. So to see them get back into a competitive position, they absolutely could have, and if not for a proper review, maybe would have beaten Kansas City in that quarterfinal. And I also agree with Kay Vibbert. I think it's very interesting because Mesquite is coming back this next season. Monterey is coming back this next season. So how will that impact Dallas? How will that impact Chihuahua? We're going to have to wait. You definitely assume that there will be some battle for players, between those franchises. But, big credit. Dallas, a team on the rise. Hey, there were 2 teams that I thought really had disappointing seasons in the MASL this year. And those are the teams on the fall or bummer teams for them. I mean, obviously, Ontario is the top of that list. We thought they were going to be one of the best teams in the league, and they finished 10th place in the standings. When you look at the actual official standings, they finished 10th place. The team that finished 9th place is the other one that I would put on that list, which is Utica, because each of the 2 years that Utica had played, they had been one of the class organizations in the league. And they're one of the class organizations off the field, to be sure, but they really, really struggled to put an attractive winning product on the floor this year. Had a little bit of a late push at the very end of the season that at least gave them hope going into the last day of the year. But, when I think about the bummers of the league this year, those are the 2 teams that I think just kind of had bummer seasons.
I agree. Yeah, that was a really tough season ending for Ontario and Utica. And I'm sure that they are working on it now and already thinking about some moves. And there has to be some changes. And that's, kind of what I'm excited about now coming into this new season is how these teams are going to change, because there has to be moves if you want to compete. Now coming in Mesquite, Monterrey, it's going to be a totally different season, totally different game. And Ontario and Utica, I think, are very much still and can be still competitors this coming season. We'll see what happens there. But, yeah, absolutely big bummers there.
Yeah, and hey, Utica made that switch. Ryan Hall out as coach. Everton Morera is now in.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see, in terms of what direction that takes them, what kind of players Everton can bring in. It'll be very interesting to see. I saw Kelsey in the chat saying that she was expecting me to name Milwaukee as the disappointment. Kelsey,
she's going to be very happy. Hey, put the volume up real quick. We having a surprise.
The next category, the next category in our MASL year in review is off-field champions. Off-field champions, and there's no question in my mind that the Milwaukee Wave are the off-field champions of the 2021-2022 MASL season. Why? They led the league in attendance. They were the one team in this league that averaged over 3,000 fans per game, and that was coming off of an entire year of inactivity, of taking a season off. So,
Yeah.
so much credit to the Milwaukee Wave front office, to their ticket office, to their leadership, to their president, to their general manager, all the way through, because I really do think of them as one of the class organizations. But when it comes to ticket sales, group sales, getting everyone organized, the job that Van McNeil does to keep the arena atmosphere, which is very unique in Milwaukee, to keep that to the level that it is, the theme nights that they put together. I just think they're so organized. They're so smart. They've done such a great job in their community. And hey, look, another tip of the hat to Utica, another team that was out for a year, that didn't have games, didn't have a chance to sell, and still came back, and they were second in the league in attendance. And that was with, honestly, both Milwaukee and Utica had bad teams for a good part of the year, or at the very least mediocre teams for that part of the year. And easy money. There's a lot to do in Milwaukee.
Dude, there's
the
a lot.
Admirals play, the Bucks play. Like, there's a ton of winter sports in Milwaukee. It's not that the Wave run unopposed there. In fact, they have the Bucks literally a block away on the street in downtown Milwaukee. It's kind of insane that they draw to the level that they do. So, big credit to Milwaukee off the field, big credit to Utica off the field. I wanted to give them both a tip of the cap as off-field champions this year, Jerry.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with those. And again, I mean, it shows in their numbers. They're doing things right. And I hope to be able to make trips there, Milwaukee and Utica next season. I think that'd be really a lot of fun if I can make it happen. But these are two places that I absolutely want to visit. I've heard the atmosphere is amazing. Obviously, we have Kelsey here, who is now a very good friend, and I just love this league, man. And those two teams very much encompass what I see a great team in this league being, along with us, right? I think we're all doing the right things, and so thumbs up, off-field champs, Milwaukee and Utica.
Okay, next we turn our attention to the front office and want to give some league thumbs up, some kudos to the good things that the MASL did over the course of the season. And, the very first thing that I want to put at the top of that list, Jerry, is the playoff format. The league announced the playoff format at the beginning of the year. Right when you heard it, you said, holy cow, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, etc. That could mean the soccer's making multiple cross-country trips. And sure enough, it did, right? They had to travel to Milwaukee. They had to travel to a different country to go to Chihuahua. And then they had to travel across the country to Florida for their 3 trips. But taking the regionalization out of it really made for a fair playoff format this year. And as such, I don't really think it's a big surprise that we got to see number 1 against number 2 in the championship series, something that rarely came to pass in previous versions of the MASL. And that's because in the past, it could be that the best 2 teams were in the West and they just had to meet because that was the nature of the format. So, it played out the way it played out, but I just thought it was by far the most democratic, have best of 3 in all 3 rounds. It wasn't fun for the owners. You knew it was going to be expensive, the playoffs, but I thought that was great and maybe the best thing the MASL did this year.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I have nothing to add to that. I think you're absolutely right. The way they did it, I mean, rarely do you get to see number 1 and number 2, and here we are. This is what the final was supposed to be, right? Number 1 and number 2, I think, if you're fair, and if you look at just what both teams accomplished throughout the season. So, yeah, kudos to the league, which, we got to do. But at the end of the season, somebody send this to commission. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Yeah.
Well, no, hey, I've got more.
Oh, what?
I thought the league.
Well, wait,
yeah,
there's
I've
more.
got more.
Okay.
I thought the league did a great job generating content over the
Yes.
course of the season.
Yes.
And it wasn't there at the beginning, end of the year. You had MASL Mondays, which I thought developed into an interesting show. I mean, early on, those guys were getting the measure of one another, but by the end, I think Snavely and Pablo had a nice, rapport. I think they started to get the league a little bit more, and that led to some interesting conversations. MASL Primetime is a classy show, and it's the type of classy highlight show that you want to have on YouTube, that you want to have there, that is available. And Suzanne, I think there will be an MASL Primetime maybe tomorrow. I could be wrong about that. But I saw that question, why wasn't there one after the finals? I think there will be one. It might be
There is. It's already out.
Wednesday.
Or there
Oh, is it? Okay.
No, or there was one out and then it was taken out. But I'm not sure if it's up now. But yeah, there will absolutely be one.
And under review, the tool that everybody really needed to use at the end of the year. To hear what Ryan Sigich had to say, Phil Ivanko did a great job hosting that, really going into the controversial decisions all the way through the playoffs. I thought that was a huge addition to the league. I think JP Delacamera, Shep Messing, Keith Tozer all deserve a lot of credit for having their eye on creating content and on creating quality content for the league. And the more, the merrier, the better. I will have a little bit more of that on the flip side, but honestly, every show that they created, and I'll say that even if I have critique of one of those shows, I think the intention was excellent, and I think the execution was generally really, really good as well. SiriusXM. Hey, JP pulling some strings at the end of the year, having our games on SiriusXM FC, having Boris on SiriusXM FC, having Zach Regan on SiriusXM FC at the end of the year. More. Let's get more of this level of exposure. I think it's huge, and it's something you and I have talked about for years, man. Stitching that outdoor and indoor tapestry together. That's a big media outlet and an important place, and I thought that was a huge thing for the league.
Yeah, I love that. I think that was such a great surprise, and to have that option too, for those that have SiriusXM and that wanted to listen to maybe a couple different voices, right? And we had such amazing voices too doing that broadcast. I think it was such a good, not just thing for the league, but the exposure wise, but for the fans as well. So yeah, being on SiriusXM it's a big deal. Obviously, we had Boris on SiriusXM as well, being interviewed on what was it? Something State of Soccer. There's a couple of
World
shows,
of Soccer or something like that.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, sorry for not knowing it off the top of my head, but it's the exposure it's getting better, and I think with the three men that are leading this league, that's a huge thumbs up right there.
Absolutely. Last thing, but it's really maybe the most important thing, right? The biggest thing for the MASL is to be stable. The biggest thing for the MASL is to have that solid floor, that solid foundation, and then to grow and build upon it. And to go from 2 years ago, 7 teams, playing through COVID, to then get to 12 teams and a really, really solid season where nobody was hanging on by a thread. Nobody was clearly the dreg of the league, or like, oh, well, if only we didn't have that team, we'd be a lot better off. There was a lot of talk about certain clubs in this league over the years like that, but there was nothing like that in this season's MASL. But furthermore, they've created this position of stability, Jerry, where now Monterey is coming back. Mesquite is coming back. And the announcement during the finals, Ronaldinho, along with new partners, will be bringing another team into the league. It might not be next season. It might be a season from now, but there's opportunities. We're even hearing about other markets having opportunities, whether it's a Boise, whether it's another New York market. I've heard other Midwest markets as well. So there's opportunities for growth, but the league is doing it in a measured way. They're being smart. They're not rushing. They're not just grabbing expansion fees and throwing fly-by-night organizations into their league. I'm really excited from the measured growth standpoint, and especially Ronaldinho coming in, and when they announce where that team is going to be, I think people are going to be very excited about that. I think soccer's fans are going to be very excited about it. I think all MASL fans are going to be excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic for the league to do well and to flourish. This needs to happen, right? And I think they're being very smart about it. That could be, there's a lot of backlash on certain decisions that the league has made, but it's all for a reason. I think it's little by little starting to kind of show, right? Where like on the outside, maybe there's some things that we may not agree with completely, but there's a reason for certain things, certain movement here and there. And one of them is obviously all the new partners too that have been brought onto the league. Like chill. And obviously we have Flight, and Capelli was there, but like there's just a lot of partnerships that are being made right now. Sirius is being one of them as well, and Twitch being another one, and
huge one,
very big one. And so I mean the league is slowly but surely they're making very measured steps in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah. By the way, everybody who is guessing currently in the chat, no one has named the exact city correctly. I'll just let you know that. But I'm just saying it's a place Sockers fans will visit, and it's a place Sockers fans will be happy is part of the schedule. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Stay tuned. All right. Flipping to the other side, some measured critiques of the MASL for the 2021-2022 season. And we've talked about it on the show in the past. Everything that we're about to talk about, essentially, we've talked about in the past. So this is all going to be, semi-familiar ground. But the timing, Jerry, the timing of announcements this year was whack. And in particular, at the end of the year, the fact that there's an MASL Shield announced a day before the Shield is awarded, the way the awards were rolled out, which was very haphazard, the ball change happening a week before the season, the switch to Twitch 2 weeks before the end of the regular season without really any build up or ramp up that allowed people to understand and make that switch. It was jarring for a lot of people. And hey, the last one was letting out that the seeding would be done by points. And then a day later, when we reported it here on Soccer's Overtime, them coming out and going, no. Never mind. Somebody complained, Kansas City. Somebody complained, and, we have to, we're going to do it the other way. And, so like those things, and I agree with K. Vibbert. It's how it goes when you've got new leadership, new organizations. Things can be chaotic. Things can be fast-paced. Things can go maybe a little bit out of order. But I definitely think from a MASL standpoint, that would be something I'd really want to work on from year 1 to year 2, is have your ducks in a row, have your timing of your announcements planned, and have things that should be announced before the year announced before the year.
Yeah, I have to say that's absolutely a thumbs down for the league. The timing needs to get better. But you know what really bothered me, I think, throughout the season was the silliness of some of the things. Like, I'll give you a big example. The whole ball situation. That to me was one of the, the lower points. There we go. The lower points of the season in the league, and the way they handled that whole thing was, I mean, I think they ended in the right place with the right, kind of idea of creating this group of people that's not going to look for the betterment of the players' wellness and all of that. But I think the way that whole thing went down, it was just, I don't know. It's still kind of, there's still something I kind of struggle with. Like, really, is there people out there that, I don't know. It just wasn't. I don't think it was done as good as it could have been handled. It wasn't handled as good as it could have been handled. There you go.
Yeah, I
we
agree
do have
have
a lot of ball issues, Kelsey. Yes, we do.
Well, but the thing about the ball was that, a team complains. Teams can complain. The fact that there was a change made, and that the change was made with just a couple of games left for every team in the regular season and going into the playoffs, and how that definitely affected things. For example, game 1 of the finals, we heard, if we had the heavier ball on that slow turf, it would have been a different situation than having the ball that was guaranteed to hop as a result. But it's neither here nor there. The new ball was fine. The old ball was fine too, despite what one person thought. But that whole thing was just kind of silly. I agree. I think that's a great word for it, silly. How awards were decided, I'd like to see them change that in the MASL next year, Jerry. I'd like to see them get the players back involved and to get more votes. And in particular, I think one vote for a front office and one vote for a broadcaster. Even though I'm a broadcaster and that means I get a vote, like, I think that's just wrong. And I do not think that the broadcasters of the MASL, by and large, with some significant exceptions, are well versed enough in the entire league to make those types of balloting. I mean, I know for a fact that I'm one of like 2 or 3 announcers in this league that watch all the games. And there are plenty that only watch their own teams. So just let the players in. I'm not trying to diss anyone. Just let the players in to the vote. I think the players know the league better than anyone else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there has to be a better way. There has to be a set standard of, okay, you get to vote, but this is how we are voting, and this specific award is going to go to the person based off of these requirements, and so that at least there's kind of a set criteria that they use when voting. And yeah, I think I said it earlier in the season of this podcast. I think more people need to probably watch more than just their own team's games. And this kind of goes to show. But yeah, I would say that's another thumbs down for me as well.
And, the last thing I had on the list, and this is way down the list. I mean, I'm way more interested in the timing and how the awards are decided in the bowl. But I think the league had a lot of really smart and ambitious programming ideas. That was on the list of the things that I gave a big thumbs up for. I thought the Chill Cave was a misfire, and that has absolutely nothing to do with the hosts or the guests or the conversation, which when you watched it back was pretty lively. It's simply that we're not that size yet. We're not that size as a league that you can have your grand final and another show that's counter-programming it, both from the same league. Like, we're just not that big yet. We're not the NFL. We're not the NBA. You don't need that. And I think it would be better transitioned into a kind of weekly talk show format where you had an informal chill cave where people got together. And if you want to do, a best damn sports show period MASL version or an ESPN2 type show, I think that's great. And I think that's something that could be added to the portfolio next year, just not head to head with the final. I feel like in some ways with some markets, it's kind of like, we don't think the finals broadcast is going to be good enough, so come over here and watch this instead. And then when it's San Diego doing the broadcast, I really just don't even know what the point is of counter-programming it, other than, like, if you don't like the game, but you love the sport, like, come over here. So I don't know. I think you disagree, but I think it's a good idea for a show. I just don't want it on head-to-head against the grand final.
Yeah, I understand that, but I actually enjoyed the choke. I think it gave just another option for the viewer, whether it's, somebody coming in and maybe not knowing what's going on and being able to have like a different perspective of the game, but then also for somebody that maybe is not a Sockers or a Tropics fan and wants to have a little bit of a different content, they could still watch the game while watching Chill Cave and get some of that extra content. But I can see also at the same time how, they're looking at numbers, and if you're having the broadcast on MASL_soccer on Twitch, you're removing and kind of self-sabotaging the numbers by having the Chill Cave at the same time, because some of those viewers on the Chill Cave, they wouldn't be counted, right, on the actual broadcast. So that was kind of a weird way of going about it. I think as a whole, like you said, I really like it as maybe like a weekly program or something that they can continue to do, because that was really cool to get to see, obviously other than Eric Berger bringing in all of the Kansas City Comets at one point into the programming and completely just taking over the show. But for the most part, they were pretty spread out. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I love you, Eric. But there was a lot of really cool players coming in and talking with Eric, and also with Philly in the first episode. Philly was at the game final game. So, but he still made an appearance and still came on along with Tim Goldman, and I think Ben Raymond was on too. And so it was really cool to see all of these players come in, and I really enjoyed that part of it. The only part I didn't, like I said, is just kind of taking some of the viewership numbers, and I think Marlisha mentioned it in the comments here, kind of self-sabotage, so that would be the only thing. I think it could have been better planned, but at the same time, MASL gonna MASL, man. That's how things happen around here.
Well, hey, and listen, that's a pretty short list. It could have been a longer list, and in previous years, it would have been a longer list of gripes. So, great first year. Keith Tozer, Shep Messing, JP Dellacamera, a lot of that first year, it's work that's done below the soil, so to speak. And what pops up, at the end of the year, maybe we're like, hey, couldn't you have planned this before? But I'm really excited for what year 2, what year 3 will bring. Our new league leadership, I think, well done. Last question, Jerry. In the end, and on a personal level, what are you proudest of this year?
What am I proudest of?
Yeah, what are you proudest of?
That's a great question. I think our social media presence and our arena presence, like the supporter culture part of this season, took a while to get there, but near the end of the season, I think we got it to a really good starting point. And I'm really proud of that. I think that the Brujos have brought so much to the arena experience in San Diego that we didn't have, that we've been missing. And I think they will continue to grow. I think this is only the beginning. I said this to Adrian, and I said this to the rest of the Brujos. This is only the beginning. So I'm really proud of that. I think, Craig, you had a lot to do with that, and your conversations and being able to make things happen for them. Started with having conversations with the arena to be able to allow us to bring in drums and flags and all of that. I'm really proud of, but then also just our growth on the social media side of things. I think when I came on, one of your goals was let's get the Instagram to over 10,000 so that we can start doing some cool stuff. And we're well past that. We're at 11.2 right now. Our Twitter is growing. I think everything just in general, working with JG and you. And I think, honestly, even more so than obviously the championship is fantastic, Craig. Obviously winning that cup is great. But I think the steps forward as an organization that we've made, I think back now and walking through this with you, thinking about the earlier games and all that, it's brought me now to a point where I'm like, yeah, we have actually accomplished a lot more than I think maybe we even thought was possible.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you. I mean, and I said it to my boss in my end of year interview earlier this week as well, that I think what happened with supporters, what happened with Section 19, what happened with Adrian, what happened with Brujos, and where it was in January, in February, which wasn't where we wanted it to be, and to get it from where it was to where it is now is something I'm incredibly proud of, and you were absolutely instrumental in making that happen. And Adrian and the people of the Brujos and the people of the locals, those who have bought in, are of course the most important part of all of that. And I'll just tell you as kind of a tag to this, that if anyone wants to come, Thursday, 6 o'clock, Border X Brewing on Logan Street down in Barrio Logan, we're going to have a Brujos celebration of the Sockers winning the championship. I have already set a reminder in my phone to bring the cup home with me tomorrow from the office.
Hey!
So the Ron Newman Cup will be at Border X Brewing on Thursday night, and we're going to be getting there around 6 o'clock, so it is open to everybody. It's a Brujos celebration, but for all our great Sockers fans, if you want to come by, obviously Jerry and I will be there.
Yes.
We're going to be talking some shop. We're really honestly going to be doing some planning in terms of how we can take this and build it and grow upon, build upon it, grow it, allow it to continue to flourish. Another thing I'm incredibly proud of, Jerry, is this show. Soccer's Overtime for 3 seasons and 4 episodes of the 4th season was a podcast. It was a show that we would go to a bar and record, or record on Zoom, and it would be like, okay, hey, can you do it Wednesday? Can you do it Thursday? Can you do it Monday? It would float around over the course of the week. Oh, we've got a Tuesday game, so we're going to record on Thursday. There wasn't that regularity to it. And bringing this show to Twitch, I think, has been huge. We were the first MASL team to get to Twitch. We got there before the league did. Obviously, we knew where the league was going when we did it, so that was smart on our part. But I'm just so excited about this community that has grown around Soccer's Overtime, and you great fans that have joined us these Tuesdays at 5:00 and have stayed to hear almost 7:00 now, as we record the season finale. But this show really grew over the course of the year. But Jerry, you were so instrumental in producing this, in creating the tech, the behind the scenes, and getting us, platformed properly. And now it's a thing. The players know that they have a good game and they're going to come on a Tuesday. Savvy, hey, when are you going to have me on Soccer's Overtime? It's a thing now. And while we're not going to be here every Tuesday during the summer, we're going to still be around. You're going to know when you can come on. We're going to be on together. And that going back next year, we're going to be back here, that season 5 every week will be on Twitch. And I just think it's such a big step forward for the league. And it's an amazing thing that we're, kind of vanguarding that as the only team show that's on every week live, that's got this interactive presence, that's really kind of setting the bar.
Really excited because, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but this is totally different from the previous broadcasts. Not maybe totally, because I had to do it really quickly, but we have switched over to our streaming, another streaming service, and we are now able to do a lot more that we were not able to do before. And it starts with today, and it's going to go into Season 5. Season 5 has a lot of changes coming for the better, and they are in order to bring you even more so into this club, because after all, this is your club, right? I think we've said it over and over, Craig, that the San Diego Sockers not only are built different, we also are very much yours. We are not just the San Diego Sockers. We are your San Diego Sockers, and we mean that. And so we do everything that we do to make sure that you guys feel like this is yours, and we hope that you do. And with that, I want to also ask you for input. What do you think we should do with this show going forward? Is there anything that you would like to see now that we're on Twitch? You guys may experience that Twitch has. There's a lot of people out there broadcasting on this awesome platform that have like widgets and all this sorts of things. We can do all of that now that we weren't able to do. So going into Season 5, please send us your recommendations for anything you may want to see. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man. This is, for me, like, broadcasting is just so much fun. I have a blast even when I mess up and we can't do certain things, and like all of that makes me happy. I don't know. And then this year has taught me so much. I've learned so much, and I'm excited to where Soccer's Overtime is going to go, man. It's really exciting times for the Sockers. We're not going anywhere, by the way. This may seem like we'll see you later, but we'll be there we'll be back very quickly. Very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, Marlisha, we'll try and aim for Tuesdays, right, Jerry? We'll try and aim for Tuesdays.
Yeah, the Mother's Day. All right, come on. Oh, also, it worked out, Craig, because I'm flying out of town next week. No show next week, okay? Just this is the end of the season. We'll start Season 5 very, very shortly. But what else have we got going on?
Well, a couple of things, and I just wanted to say, lastly, on a note of personal pride, MASL Supporters Shield. It wasn't a Supporters Shield. We made the Supporters Shield.
Hey.
And
you made it the Supporters Shield.
That game.
Oh, that's right. That was you. That was all you.
MASL influencer. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
I'm proudest. What can I tell you? I'm proudest of my silliest things.
Listen, it goes to show the league is listening, right? The league is listening, and they realized how important some of those things were to us and why they were important. And so there you have it, sir. The Supporter Shield and knockout game. It's back to knockout game, everybody. It's not extra time.
Yeah. Knockout game. All right. So this is the season finale of season 4. We hope you have enjoyed 28 straight weeks of San Diego Soccer's content, 23 of which came to you live here on Twitch. The next time you'll see a show pop up in the feed will be some player championship exit interviews. We are working through those. We will have not the same level that we did last year because of this show. Because we've had the interviews on this show week in and week out. We've had that level of connectivity that we didn't have during the COVID season. But we're still going to bring you a few interviews, including, I would suspect, Jerry, a couple of bilingual interviews to talk about stories, real stories, and hear the players' stories of this season. So look for player championship exit interviews on the Soccer's Overtime feed, video and audio going forward. In addition to, once things start happening, whether it's arena news, free agent news, league news, we'll be right back with Soccer's Summer Overtime. And we did, I think, 4 Summer Overtime episodes last summer, Jerry. We'll do, something around that this year, depending on what the news is and what the information is. But we'll come, and every time we do, it'll be on Tuesday, and we'll give you advance notice to make sure that we can all gather and get together, get around the bonfire and have some Soccer's Summer Overtime chat. So that's it for this season. But that's the game plan for the weeks and months ahead until an MASL schedule comes out. And that's when you'll know that we're right back to Soccer Overtime Season 5. We'll be back at 3 Punk Ales probably. Have to negotiate that. But we'll be back out there. We'll have our schedule release show, and then we'll be back at it, hopefully with 28 more episodes heading to a 3rd straight championship.
There you have it. Hey, real quick, don't go, because for those of you that didn't get to be here in the beginning, I'm going to give you guys a little present. Got a little slippy slide for everybody as we head out. Is that okay with you, Craig?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I love it. Absolutely. Tag it on the end as we had at the beginning. Okay. The podcast, folks, you're just going to have to go find the video. You're going to have to go check out the video on our YouTube channel. For all of our great listeners, for Paul Savage, MVP of the San Diego Sockers, and for the wonderful Jerry Jimenez. My name is Craig Elston. Thank you so much for being part of 4 of Soccer's Overtime. We did it. We've cleaned up the confetti and wrapped up a 2nd straight championship season. We'll be back with exit interviews. We'll be back with Summer Overtime. Until then, have a great rest of your spring into the summer. And go Sockers!